Hi, I'm Steve.
And this is our vintage RV. If you are new to our channel, welcome. This is our vintage RV, and we have done so many renovations to this thing. And in this video, we are showing everything from the engine to the back to the inside. We are going to show you everything that we have done to this thing. And sorry we're squinting so bad, the sun is pretty bright and we're pretty messy today because we've actually been cleaning this thing today because we're about to go on a big trip for the first time. We have never done RVing before, really. This is going to be our first RV trip, so we're super excited and we can't wait to show you. So let's get started. We're going to show you everything that we've done. Okay, so I am going to be behind the camera from this point, and my husband Steven is going to tell y'all all about it. So first of all, Steven, tell the viewers who have not seen, what is this RV? What is the name of it and the year of it?
Well, it's a 1984 Nissan Huntsman.
Yep. And
20 foot.
20 foot long. It gets pretty good gas mileage, doesn't it? Yeah.
On average, we've been getting about 14, but each little trip we did go on, we was pulling a trailer and we was going up mountains, and we always average 14. So we figure out on flat roads, you know, we could potentially get 16 or so.
Wow.
So I guess we'll find out here next week on our trip to Florida.
Yeah. Every time I've told people that it got that good, they immediately assume it's a diesel engine, but it's not a diesel engine, is it?
It's a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder, and we go ahead and show you the engine right now.
Yep.
Yep.
And you've done so much work to this engine, didn't you?
Well,
pretty much everything in here is replaced, right?
Yeah, well, when we bought the thing, it had been sitting for about 16 years. So
wow.
Not been ran, just sitting there for 16 years. The front tires was completely rotted off of it. You know, we was able to get the back ones pump up to load it, but the front was just completely split on the sidewalls.
Gosh.
So, you know, we put all new tires on it, Hankook heavy duty tires.
Nice.
Which is kind of hard to find in this size because they're 14-inch, but they have to be heavy-duty tires. You know, they can't run just regular passenger car tires because of the weight of it. So, but fortunately, Hankook makes a set that wasn't that expensive compared to some. But starting with the engine, we had to redo the carburetor on it, of course, because it had been sitting all them years, and we ran all new fuel hoses all the way back to the fuel tank. Let's see, we got had to run new AC hoses to get the air conditioner to work, which that was a whole deal of its own because there was a lot, you know, wrong with the AC compressor was stuck on it. Had to rebuild it because we couldn't find one at the time. Because 84 used a certain AC pump. It was a little different than the rest of them, or AC compressor. So we was able to get that fixed, got the AC working. We took the radiator to a radiator shop and had them take it apart and rod the radiator out. So the radiator is like new. We have all new hoses, new alternator, all new fan belts. You know, pretty much everything under this thing is just about new. We got a new brake master cylinder, new clutch master cylinder, new clutch slave cylinder, reproduction coolant reservoir tank. I mean, the list just goes on and on. I mean,
so much work done to this thing. This is probably the biggest amount of work right here, was just getting it mechanically ready, like the engine ready. You think?
It was a lot of work, but
probably, maybe not the hardest.
Yeah, probably the hardest work was all the water damage inside.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
But yeah, the engine runs really good. It only has like 76,000 miles on it, and it runs like new pretty much.
Wow.
But yeah, like I said, we got new tires on it. All the brakes was redone, new brake calipers, all new wheel bearings, new tie rods. You know, the front end's like new on it. It was all had an alignment done to it. Let's see, we redone. Had to peel all the siding back on the water damage, and we put all new molding, a little trim molding all around through here, and everything's been sealed to keep the water out. We had to do some work on the awning on it. We got that working pretty good.
And I know we're eventually wanting to replace the fabric of the awning, though, aren't we?
Yeah, it's really old, and it's starting to kind of get a little you know, beaten up at the top. You know, you
Yeah.
start to see holes and things like that.
Oh yeah. As much as we've
Uh,
done to this thing, y'all, there's
yeah.
still stuff that needs to be done. So make sure you subscribe because
Yeah.
we are not done working on
Oh,
this
no,
thing.
one of the next things we'd like to do on it is actually give the RV a whole paint job.
Yeah, we've painted the inside, but
Yeah.
yeah, this outside, we want to
Yeah.
keep the same
Yeah.
color scheme,
Oh,
but a whole new fresh paint job
And
for sure.
We got to pull all these windows out and get some of the new molding that goes around through here,
Yeah.
because you can see some of that
It's pretty,
starting to get gaps in it where it's shrinking up.
yeah.
So we want to reseal all
And
that.
get it
We'll
maybe a black mold,
Yeah,
and
we'll
it would just look good
paint
against
the
better
frames
against
black.
it. Yep, yep.
But yeah, back here on the back, all the brakes was redone on the back. New tires. Let's see, new wheel bearings. So we took out the original propane refrigerator in it because it wasn't working anymore, and we put in just a residential, you know, mini fridge. So we had to kind of redo some of this outside here. This door right here, see, on the RV refrigerators, they vent from the outside of the RV, which are residential refrigerators vent from the inside. So I took and just put insulation on the backside here to seal this up, 3/4 inch foam board insulation, and I put some aluminum on the inside here and sealed it so that there wouldn't be any water or bugs or anything going inside the louvers for the original vent. So you know, all that's sealed up now, and I can still get back here to the back to work on the fridge, or to unbolt the fridge if I need to by pulling that piece of foam board insulation out. Well, up here, this was also an access and a vent for the original fridge, so we done away with this completely by putting a piece of aluminum here and painting it and sealing it up and just hard screwing it in, so, you know, because there's no need to get back here behind this any longer.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that being a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'll show footage of that
Yeah.
because that took at least a whole day of
Oh, yeah.
work to do all that. So that's pretty nice. That adds more insulation to the rig.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, that there was like a bunch of wasp nests coming in from those original slits.
Yep.
So that's very nice.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
So we had to work on the original steps because someone had hit something at one time and just jacked all the steps up. They was all bent up, all the brackets, so all that was bent straight, so we can pull the step in and out easily now. This is the hot water heater. We didn't really have to do that much to the hot water heater. This is one of the one of the few things that we didn't have to do a lot of work to, oddly, but you know, just kind of tested it, and I did put a new anode rod inside of it, and so that's about all we've done to that. Now we do still have to do some work to the propane system on here, because our original propane tank was rusted on top, and it just wasn't safe to reuse. Well, at the time I went to order a new tank, and it was really hard to find, and I found one company that said they had them in stock, and I ordered the tank, and then they came back and said they didn't have it. And it's been on back order since February, I believe, and this is almost September.
Yeah, end of August. Yeah.
So we still don't have a propane tank. So what we're going to do is I've got an adapter on our propane line so that we can just bring a cook stove, like a grill bottle, a grill tank, you know, just a portable grill tank. I can bring that, and we can just hook it up to the system. That way we can run our hot water heater and our stove and everything.
And shower and stuff like that.
Yeah, for the shower. So yeah, we redone all the rear bumper on this thing and reinforced all the trailer hitch set up so we could run a motorcycle carrier on here, so we could bring our motorcycle on our trips.
If you want even more details on that, you guys check out my last video. He goes into all kinds of full detail of what all he had to do, why we had to get the ones we did, and but yeah, all of this is brand new pretty much, right? Even this right here.
Yeah, that's
is a new
sewer
container.
hoses.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a cheap, easy way to make a really nice sewer hose holder. It's all it is a 5-inch fence post, plastic fence post from Lowe's, or you can get it at Home Depot or any hardware store, pretty much. And yeah, it makes it's way cheaper to make it like this than it is to buy you know, something that's purposely made for hauling a sewer hose, you know, and this works just as good.
Yeah, and it's worked fine. So,
yeah, so we're able to put all of our sewer hose, even all the little extra couplers and accessories that go with the sewer hose, all fit inside there. So it's
perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to mess with it.
Nice.
So we got us this luggage hauler back here with a nice box here, toolbox, so we can have some outside storage, because we had no outside storage before.
Yep, this helps a lot with this RV
Oh,
rig,
yeah,
because
sure.
there was none.
Yeah.
And he mentioned it in the last video, but you did reinforce a lot of this back here to make it more sturdy and stable.
All the trailer hitch is probably 10 times stronger than what the original factory setup was. The factory setup was just really pitiful. It was flimsy. You know, I'd say probably a good 350, 400 pound man could have probably jumped on it and broke a whole trailer hitch setup off it. Because when we actually took it off, it was cracked in several places, though, so it wasn't a whole lot still holding it on. So we really reinforced that so we could run the motorcycle hauler, because you got to have a lot of tongue weight capacity to you know, put a motorcycle back here.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And he mentioned it in the last video, but we got this great motorcycle hauler that also has a hitch on the back of it. So you could even have a trailer behind it if we wanted to, but yeah, this looks like it's gonna work great, this setup back here. And he mentioned it in the last video, but another thing he did was reinforce this ladder. It's a lot more sturdy than the original one. A lot more sturdy. He bolted it in right here. It was a flimsy one that like went to the wall. It was like very shaky. This is a lot more sturdy, and he did do that.
So we have trailer lights on the back of our hauler, because once you get the motorcycle on here, it blocks the factory tail lights, so that way people can see us okay. So yeah, we on this side of it, you know, we you know, replaced all this trim here, and we put a new door here for a power hose. I mean, for a power cable. This is where our house battery sits. So we have, right now we have one battery, just one deep cycle marine style battery, but we'd like to in the future is add another battery box so that we can have two batteries. So we'd have a lot more time we can be on the battery, you know, a lot more amp hours with two batteries.
And we did just recently get an inverter.
Yes,
for
we have
this
an
battery
inverter now, so we can run our refrigerator off the house battery, or run, you know, pretty much anything, because we have the inverter hooked up to the main line going into the RV, so that all our power outlets and everything can run off the inverter when we're not hooked up to Sure Power. So that's nice. And so we got the generators under here. You want me to open this door?
If you want to, yeah, and tell them some of what all you had to do in here. Had to do a good bit of work to get this running, and he'll show you, but he had to do some work on the wall beside it.
Yeah, so this has a 3,000 watt Onan generator. This is the factory generator that came out in the RV in 1984, but it would have been sitting a really long time, probably way longer than the RV had been. The RV had been sitting for 16 years, and I knew the owner that owned this RV before me, and I'm pretty sure he never used this generator the whole time he had it. So this thing probably hadn't ran in 25 years, or maybe longer, you know, before I got it up and going. So I think it has very little hours on the generator, but the exhaust was completely gone when we bought the thing. It looked like somebody had maybe hit something, like they had been off-road on it and they hit something and it tore all the original exhaust system off, because the wall back here was completely caved in where the original exhaust pipe had just kind of jammed into the wall. So I replaced all that and put new fiberglass insulation, all new exhaust system. We cleaned the carburetor. We had to put a bearing in the back side of the generator part because it had went out. So yeah, the generator runs really good. It's not that loud. I mean, it's it's quieter than a lot of them I've heard. So I mean, it's not too awful annoying, but it's just nice to have a generator. Maybe one of these days we can upgrade it to a, you know, kind of a suitcase style generator, you know, something more enclosed that runs a little quieter, like an inverter style generator.
Oh yeah.
But for the time being, I mean, it has enough power to run our AC units, so that's the main thing, you know, that we like about it. So if we're boondocking, we can still have AC, you know, on the time we're running the generator. So
so is that everything for the outside, do we think?
Pretty much. I mean, the rest of the running gear on the RV, we ran all new exhausts from front to back. We rebuilt the transmission in it because it went out on us. So we got a brand new rebuilt transmission in here, all new, lots of new parts inside of it. So all that's good. We got a new clutch slave cylinder, a original Nissan clutch slave cylinder. So all that, I mean, we used all good parts on this thing because we really didn't want to be stranded, because we've already, when we first done the thing, we used some cheaper parts and we paid the price on that because a lot of the parts we bought that was cheap, you know, parts house stuff, you know, it just went out on us not long after we like if you've watched our other videos you've seen on our trip to Ohio last year, we kept breaking down because we had pieces of we didn't know what it was at the time, but there was little pieces almost looked like plastic that was getting inside our carburetor and stopping the jet up. And it turned out it was the new Napa Gold fuel filter that we had put on there. The fuel filter came apart and there was little pieces of plastic that was going through the fuel system and clogging our carburetor up. So I mean, it was a brand new fuel filter, the best one I could buy at Napa, and it lasted maybe 50 miles before it started giving trouble. So we done away with that. We put 2 American-made aluminum rebuildable fuel filters. You can take them apart and clean the element, put them back together. So we have 2 fuel filters on the line now. You know, one before the fuel pump and one after the fuel pump. So we're set there.
Yeah,
we've got all American-made belts because we was having trouble with the Chinese and Mexican-made fan belt or AC belts. Yeah, the AC belts were stretching, so we put a American-made Gates AC belt on there. Didn't have no more trouble.
Yep.
So
been great ever since.
If there's a lesson I can give to anybody or advice, it would be buy good parts. Pay the extra money, buy the good parts, preferably American. Or, you know, in the case of if you're working on something like this Nissan, you know, Japanese-made stuff is great. I mean, you know, this is where the chassis was made in Japan. So if you can go and get, you know, original style parts made in Japan, you know, that's great. But just avoid the Chinese and your other countries that are known to make cheaper stuff. You know, avoid it because tow bills and repair bills are very costly. And it's a lot cheaper to do it right the first time, pay the extra money and do it right the first time than it is to try to have to do it 2 times.
Yeah, I agree.
So
yeah. So, do we think that's everything for the outside?
I think so.
Okay, so we're gonna head on in because we still got a lot more to show y'all on the inside. Okay, y'all, so we are in the inside, and first of all, excuse the audio sound. We have our AC running right now, and we are not turning this thing off. It is way too hot today. This is really great at keeping us cool. That's one thing Steven's going to talk about in a minute that he had to work on. But let me go ahead and do an overview of everything for anyone that hasn't seen any tours of this RV. This is the overview of it, and even under here is the cab up front. You can kind of see it a little bit. And so we're going to head back this way. And we're gonna start in the bathroom of what all Steven had to do, because this was another huge project, wasn't it, Steven?
Yes.
Let me fix this curtain here. I was cleaning earlier and put that up to clean the floors. But this is our bathroom here, first of all. This is a wet bath We love having this thing, you guys, just to have a separate room here that you can even just change in. And then just to have our own bathroom is so nice to have. But tell everyone what all you had to do in here, Stephen.
Well, this is one of the first projects that I started on the RV, because when we bought it, the original skylight had cracked and it was letting a lot of water in, and this whole entire bathroom was completely rotted out, all the way from the roof to the floor. All the back wall was rotted out, the side wall was rotted out, and so I wound up having to gut the whole inside. Even had to peel the outside aluminum had to be peeled back. Every bit of the wood was replaced. This was a tremendous amount of work that went into this, and so I replaced the skylight with one that was a lot better than what the one that came in it. The original one used the plastic frame around the bottom, and that's what actually started cracking over time, and it was letting water in. So now I have a metal frame bottom, and it's sealed up, and you know, you gotta get up on the roof of these things at least once a year and check the sealant and reseal things. I mean, that's the life of an RV, and if you want to keep the water out, because that's the biggest thing you find on these vintage RVs when you buy them, is water damage. And even if you do see water damage and you think it's not that bad, it's bad. I mean, that's the way when I first looked at this, you know, I seen, you know, it was rotting on top a little bit. This, you know, had a little bit on the backside, and I was like, well, that won't be too bad. No, once you start digging in, the deeper you get, the more water damage you find. So, and because we still have to work on the back, we'll show you that in just a moment. But anyways, we put a new commode in. Yep,
new toilet. It's like higher than the toilet that was in here, so it's just more comfortable.
And we have a new faucet.
It's an oxygenic.
Oxygenic, yeah.
So it'll save water. Yeah. I don't see us using this when we're boondocking much. We have Planet Fitness, so we'll probably use that. But it'll just be nice when we're on full hookups to just have our own shower, have our own bathroom in our own little house. It'll just really be nice. So I love it. I love that we have that. Tell them about the wall, Stephen, because we're going to call this giving it character.
Yeah, well, you see how it's kind of wavy. And what this is waterproof plastic. It's all, I've used it on the wall, on the roof, everything. Yeah,
what was on here?
Well, originally it used just wallpaper. It was a waterproof wallpaper.
Do we think the waterproof wallpaper worked good at all? Do you think that was...
Well, I mean, I guess so. I mean, that wasn't the reason there was water damage in there. The water damage was from from the roof. But this is better. I mean, it looks better too. But the reason it's wrinkly like this is because when I put it's really thin stuff, and when I put it up, I used the glue that everybody told me to use, which was like a contracting style glue that goes in a caulk gun, and you just run it around and run beads around it. Well, every place where this is kind of bulging out some is where there's no glue. What should have been used was a spray adhesive. It needed like complete coverage. It needed, every bit of it needed to be covered with a glue, not just like in a row like that. So I just went by. I didn't really know. I'd never used this stuff before. So in our future plans, we'll probably peel this stuff back off and get some spray adhesive and spray it and put it back on there. But I mean, it doesn't look that great, but it's still functional. Yeah, I mean, it still does the job. It's waterproof.
And it looks clean and white, like it's better than dirty yellow that it was. So I'm happy with it, and I call it giving it character. Like, we're not expecting this rig to ever look perfect. This is our adventure rig at the end of the day. But I also want to show here a little touch of the original vintage. This is a pipe in here, and that's some of the original wallpaper, and I love it. I want to keep some touches of the original vintage, and that's one of them. And this is a shower curtain we recently added. This is just a cheap one from Walmart, and what it is, you just pull it in front of the door, and then you close the door when you take your shower. So, very nice.
And another thing I didn't mention while we was on the outside is I had to do a lot of work on the holding tanks on this rig, the black tank and the gray tank, because was, apparently somebody had hit something at one point and it busted the outlet pipe that comes out. The pipe that comes out of where your dump valves are. It busted all of that off. But fortunately, ABS plastic is pretty easy to repair. I watched some videos and found out a technique on how to repair it. So I was able to repair all the holding tanks without taking them out. So, you know, but now we don't have no leaks or anything, and all the holding tanks are. So we have our black tank and we have our gray tank. Yeah, and we was talking about back here. I've still got to rip out this kitchen sink, and we have some water damage back here. You can see where the wood's starting to come apart there, and some of that was from the bathroom. Some of the water that was coming in through the bathroom kind of bled through the wall and got on this side, and plus this window was leaking some also, which I've sealed that since then, but there was some water coming in there. So yeah, I still got to do that. That's really the only water damage that's left on the RV, and so I'll probably try to do that this winter, but right now we're just using it like it is.
But one of the big things people might notice is the beautiful paint job, the white paint job. Tell them a little bit about that, Stephen. That you did the inside and out of these cabinets.
Yeah, so originally, all this was like a wood grain style wallpaper, so it was really dark in here. You know, every bit of it was like a really dark looking wood. So we figured, going white, we would brighten it up a whole lot. It did, and we painted all the hardware. This is all the original hardware.
I think the original hardware in this RV is beautiful. It's gorgeous. Like, all it needed was a spray paint, and it looks gorgeous in here.
So we have the original 3i burner, which works. I need to clean it up some with the SOS pad, but it's pretty good shape. And if you notice up here, it looks like it's kind of cracked. I don't know if I can see that on the video.
You can see a little bit.
Yeah, what it is if you'll read this little sticker here, there's from the factory, they put this clear plastic on there just to keep it from getting scratched until the owner took possession of it. Well, it says here that this cover should be removed before the oven's used. Well, they never removed it, so the heat just kind of melted the plastic onto this. So I'm gonna have to get an SOS pad and maybe some acetone or something and see if I can get this plastic off. But I mean, this range, or this hood, I guess, will look brand new if that plastic was removed. So
do we think this clock is original?
Yeah, it looks like it, or it was added at one point when it was pretty new, but it's not working now. But it's just a battery powered movement, so we
just need to get a new battery.
Yeah, or new movement probably.
Yeah. But that's another vintage piece too that I love and do want to keep in here, and keep some little vintage touches to remember how it originally looked. But for those who have not seen this RV before in any of my videos, this is a good amount of storage in here. It goes pretty deep. Like, it is pretty deep cabinets. I think it goes like elbow deep almost. Like, it's just really, really good storage that we're very happy with. And
originally we had a microwave right here.
Oh yeah.
So we took that out because we didn't really need a microwave, and we're going to put just a large toaster oven here, so we'll have an oven.
Yeah.
We're going to do that.
And here is our new refrigerator. This was a little bit of a process of getting. We had to order from a few different places before we finally got one. But this is a pretty nice one. It was a good deal. We got this at Best Buy. Like we said before, he had to change some things to the outside and added some insulation behind it. And you even made this pretty stable. He added these L brackets and screwed them into the back just to make it hopefully more stable as we're traveling, and hopefully won't shake around too much. We have not really used this yet. We are going to be using this pretty much for the first time on our upcoming trip, and so we'll let y'all know how this works. We only need to use it boondocking for one night at a time, so hopefully it'll work pretty good with boondocking. It says it's pretty energy efficient.
Yeah. Well, I know the inverter, when it's after it's cold, when it's running, it's not even running, but maybe a half an amp. It's pulling maybe half an amp of power when it's just running.
Wow.
So yeah, it's very efficient. And,
Yeah.
just testing it out here one day, I ran it for like 7 hours on the battery, and I still wasn't even halfway down on my battery yet. So
Wow.
I figure I could get at least 8 or 9 hours out of just the single one battery.
Yeah. And I don't know if y'all saw, but there's even a little freezer box in there. So it's a 3.5 cubic feet, so it's a pretty good size. So we're excited. We're excited about it. And this is our closet right here. Again, pretty good size. It has this hanging thing right here where we can put hangers and hang a bunch of clothes. Really good size. We have a few things stored in here. These are our water shoes we're going to bring on our trip to the beach.
So this is our water lines running to our spigot inside the bathroom. I need to make like a wooden cover to go over all that to keep anything from hitting that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah,
Nice.
good sized
Yeah.
closet. We're pretty minimalist on clothes, so it holds both of our clothes. We've only taken it on one trip.
Also.
Yeah, we put pajamas and underwear in here, and between this and this, it's a good sized closet.
This is our propane furnace. We haven't used this. We hadn't tested this yet, but it should work. But
Yeah.
you know, we have like a little electric space heater that we bring with us. You know, and we can use that when we're hooked up to Sure Power.
Yeah, and this small of a space, I
Yeah.
mean, that works just
I
fine.
mean, it really doesn't take much to heat this.
Right, yeah.
So here's our control panel over here. We have our switches so we can test our holding tanks, which none of this stuff is very accurate, you know, so I may have to do some work on this because it says that you're full when you're not. But anyways, this is where we turn our water pump on. This little screen right here is for our inverter. We was able to put the screen here, which has the power on and off, so you can turn the inverter on and off, because we actually have the inverter underneath this couch here. But it also tells you how full your battery still is, and it tells you, you know, how many amps you're drawing. Here's a switch for our generator, so we can start it up and shut it off inside the RV.
And this is the original bench setup, and as you can see, we do need to reupholster it one day. That's another thing we have on our list to do one day. On the opposite side of it, these are also original. These aren't as bad. I mentioned this before to Steven that I might want to keep this piece the way it is, just to have something that's like a staple vintage piece. Like I told you, I want to keep as much of the vintage look as possible, but we definitely do need to reupholster this one day.
And I don't know if you showed them, but this out here also pulls out to a bed.
Yes.
This slides out, and you can so you can actually sleep 4 people in here pretty comfortably, because we've done it.
Yeah. If y'all haven't seen my other videos, we did like a small weekend trip in this RV, and that's all we've done. It was like all boondocking, but we slept 5 people in here. One was a kid, one was a 4-year-old, but 2 people and their kids slept up here on this big bed. It's a pretty good sized bed.
I think it's like a full size.
Yeah.
It's considered full size.
And then me and Steven just pulled this out and we just slept on here. So it is a pretty roomy rig. We are really happy with the size of this rig and how much it'll hold. And there's some more storage up here and even more storage up here. So love the amount of storage in this rig. We really love it. All of this was painted. I mean, even this hardware was spray painted, so it just looks gorgeous. It really just does open up the space so much when it's all white, and especially in a smaller space. It just looks great. And these are just some more access cabinets too. The bottom ones mostly are just access cabinets, but very nice. These curtains are cheap curtains we just got for the time being from Walmart. They were like $9 for a couple sets, so not bad at all. And I like the color of them, and they give at least a little bit of privacy little bit of sun protection. We added a carbon monoxide detector. Pretty simple, but very important. And we got this. Where did we get this again?
I ordered it off eBay.
Oh yeah, he ordered this off of eBay, so we did add that. And this is our bed up here. Me and Steven have never slept up here before. Like I said, our one trip we did, our friend slept up here. So we'll be sleeping on this for the first time on our upcoming trip that's coming up. Stay tuned for that, you guys. It's going to be big. Me and Steven are so new to RVing. We have never done any RVing before, really, except for one little trip. But this trip, we're going to RV campgrounds. We're going to so many new places. And this is really going to be like our little vacation home. So we're so excited to use it for that. And stay tuned if you want to see any of that and see how it works, if you're curious of how everything goes. But yeah, Steven, do you want to tell them any more about what all you did, particularly above the bed here?
Yeah, this was another place up here that also had a lot of water damage. And it was, again, from this roof vent that was cracked and was leaking. But pretty much I had to replace all the ceiling up here. It was all rotten. Some of the walls I had to replace the thin plywood on the inside. So yeah, all that had to be redone. There's still a little bit of water damage at the very front, underneath the mattress. Not bad, but once I do the kitchen, I'll fix that also. But yeah, I got a new skylight and it's all sealed up good, so there's no more water coming in. I mean, this thing's been, through a lot of rainstorms, bad ones, and I hadn't noticed any water whatsoever coming in anywhere. So, it's sealed up pretty good. I mean, really, if it wasn't for these two skylights being a problem, I mean, this thing would have probably had little to no water damage whatsoever. I mean, the Huntsman really built a good RV back then. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, because of the aluminum roof. A lot of them didn't have aluminum roofs.
Yeah. Did they? Yeah, it doesn't use like a rubber or anything like that. It's just like a thin sheet of aluminum that covers the whole roof. But where your water is going to come in is going to be around like the skylights or your roof AC unit, things like that. You have to really stay on top of keeping these things sealed up.
But as much work as that was, and I know it was a lot, and we still, like you said, have to fix the wall of the kitchen. But I've seen other people's RVs where they had to rip out all of the walls. All of the walls had water.
No,
so
that wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Now, the man that we got this from, there was two of them up there. He also had a Toyota Dolphin up there, and the Dolphin was in horrible shape. I looked at the two when I bought this one, but the Dolphin was way worse than this one. I mean, I'm not saying that Dolphin wasn't as good an RV, but just
that one in particular.
That one in particular had a lot more water damage, and they was both the same year models. But so I'm pretty proud of how good a little RV this is. I mean, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, and I don't know if y'all have noticed, but like, I love the layout of this RV. I feel like they had so much figured out when they made this RV. I love the bathroom and how it's just kind of straight with the rest of it doesn't stick out much. It's not interfering with the rest of the living space. I love the size of the closet and the kitchen. And like I said, look how much sitting space we have, you guys. We have 2 chairs right here, and this is a pretty big bench. I told Steven 3 people can sit here comfortably, but I think you can squeeze 4 people onto this bench, and then like more people could even sit up here if we have to. I mean, it's pretty roomy in this rig. You can see it's pretty wide. It's got a ton of walking space. I love the layout of this RV, and it's like Steven said, I love how pretty well made it was, all of that aluminum, that the only water damage really was from the roof vents, but everything else, I'm just very, very impressed with it. So we talked about the AC earlier. Do you want to tell them what all you had to do to get this back to working?
Well, funny story is when I was doing all this work on this thing, I got thinking one day, I was like, I wonder if the roof AC unit works. I was like, surely not. Nothing else works. So I plugged it up, and sure enough, it came on and it worked just fine. And I was like, wow. I was like, one thing I don't have to fix on this thing. Well, it ran for like 20 minutes, and I was in here working, and all of a sudden it made a popping sound, and I stepped outside to see what the pop was, and I heard Freon leaking out of the top of the AC unit. So I shut it off, and I climbed up on top, and sure enough, it was Freon. It was just leaking out. And I said, well, there goes that. You know, of course, something, you know, I thought something that I didn't have to work on, but, you know, of course I do have to work on it. So I just didn't fool with it for, you know, the rest of that year. Well, earlier this year, I decided I wanted to try to either fix this AC unit or buy a new one. So Sarah's uncle is a refrigeration guy. He works on like coolers and things like that in restaurants, like Coke machines and things like that. So I just called him up and asked him, you know, if he would be willing to take a look at my AC unit. And he said sure. So he came up here and he climbed up, and it took him like 2 minutes to find the problem. What had happened was one of the wires that go to the fan motor, all the insulation on the outside of the wire was rotten, and it had shorted out against one of the copper tubes that for the compressor that has the Freon inside of it. So when it shorted out, it burned a hole in the copper, and all the Freon just leaked out of that hole. So like I said, it took him like 2 minutes to find that. So he got us soldering equipment up there and soldered the hole up, and put in access ports so he could put Freon back into the system. And he charged it back up, and I fixed the wires going to the fan motor, and you know, it's been working great ever since.
Wow.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, it's blowing pretty cold air right now.
It works good for an old AC.
Yeah.
Like, we're just glad to have AC.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see us being able to travel without AC. Like,
Yeah.
We just couldn't do it.
And these units are like $1,000, so
yeah. So we're just glad to have one.
Yeah. So we're pretty excited that
we got it working.
You know, it didn't cost us hardly anything to get it fixed, and said, you know, we may one of these days upgrade to a more modern AC unit that maybe is a little more efficient. But I mean, as of now, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, it's just great to have.
Yeah.
I think that's it for back here. Is that everything we worked on back here?
I think so.
One last thing I want to show y'all before we head up front to the cab is we have tables back here. First of all, this is something we just added like this week. It's just a sheet. We might upgrade it to something else someday, but we thought this was a great idea for two reasons. First, when we're ACing back here the house area, this keeps it cooler back here, so we're not having, because a lot of heat comes from the front windows in the front cab, so we thought this would help block off up there and just keep us cooler back here. But the second purpose is keeping it cooler up there in the cab as we're driving, and using the front AC and not having to worry about cooling off back here as we're driving. So yeah, that's just a rig we came up with and thought was a pretty good idea. But another thing I wanted to show y'all, first of all, here's the cab up here, and we have 2 tables, not one, but 2 tables that we can put back here. And I love how they fit in here pretty perfectly, out of the way, right behind the chairs here. And they're pretty good sized tables. So again, if we wanted to have a little party in here, we could have not only a bunch of sitting space, but table eating space. We have 2 tables we can put. We've got one hole right there we can put a table, and then there's another one right here in this floor. So pretty nice. I love how it's tucked away. Again, you guys, I'm just obsessed with the layout and design of this RV. It has turned out to be exactly what we need. If it's just 2 people traveling, I mean, shoot, even if it's a small family traveling, this rig, I mean, it has turned out to just be exactly what we need. So we're gonna move to the front of the cab. I don't know if we've done many updates up there, but we're gonna show y'all what it looks like up there. Okay, so you guys, this is the front of the cab, and one thing I do want to mention is we might not have done a whole lot of work up here. We'll just sit in here and get comfy up here. But one thing we did do up here was we heavily cleaned And on that note, we did that for everything in this RV. Do you want to tell them a bit like the condition this RV was in when we got this thing?
Well, like I said, it had sit for 16 years. So, you know, in them 16 years, you know, mice had made a home out of the place. Birds had made a home out of the place.
Yep. We saw a
let's
few.
see, ants had made a home in the place, and all the rotten wood that was in the bathroom. There was a huge ant's nest behind the wall. So yeah, it was a house for critters.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
for sure.
The smell, you guys, the smell.
Yeah.
I couldn't bear to be in here a few minutes when we first got. I was terrified. I didn't know getting a vintage RV was a thing, and I didn't know what we were getting into. Now I see a bunch of people like sharing that footage too to see like how far it's come. I was too like, I don't know, embarrassed to even show all that. Now I wish I'd just to show how far it's come. And now we hang out in it all the time. Like that's how good it smells in here now, and it's so clean in here now. We took out these chairs, like fully took them out to like hose them down, cleaning salts. We used stain remover to try and remove some stains. Heavily cleaned the furniture in here. We did the same thing to the back furniture. We like did a carpet cleaner. It was like a heavy duty carpet cleaner. It was like I can't remember what it's called. It's a machine that's
shampooer.
Yeah, shampooer. There you go. And we ripped out carpet. That's another thing we did back here, you guys, that I forgot to mention, was we changed out the floors back here. It was pretty simple, pretty cheap. It was carpet, you guys, carpet everywhere. So when Steven says there was animals living in here, you can just imagine what was in that carpet, and that was probably where most of the smells were coming from too. So we ripped that out. I mean, there was carpet inside of these cabinets as well. So we ripped out the carpet, and we got this flooring. It's very cheap flooring. It was like the vinyl sheets, and that works great. That's exactly what you need for an RV. If you even use vinyl planks, I've heard a lot of people say that those give you problems in RVs from moving and all kinds of weather. So the sheets is the easiest to keep up with. It's very light, which you always want to go as light as possible in an RV. And it's like great with cleaning, like great with water. So this is perfect. I love the color of it. It just, again, helps it look a little bit more modern in there. So of course, it helped with the smell, so we love that. But yeah, everything else up here is pretty much original. That's about all we did up here, was heavily cleaning the space up here, vacuuming and shampooing the carpets up here as well.
So we still have some things we want to do up here. We want to get all the original seats. We want to get them reupholstered because they're pretty sun faded. They're not in bad shape. You know, they're not tore or anything. They're just kind of faded out from the sun. You know, all these years of the sun coming in. And I want to repaint some of the steering column plastic and things like that. You know, to kind of make it look a little better. But yeah, I mean, it's.
We would like to change out the radio, didn't you say one day? Do we want to do that?
This is original style radio, or one that was put in it years ago. Probably not the original, but we want to put a more modern sound system in it. But yeah, it's other than that, it's in pretty good shape. I mean, I said, the RV really only has 76,000 miles on it, which it had only like 74,000 when we bought it. So
which is pretty good.
We put 2,000 or 3,000 miles on it since we've had it. But it's other than that, it's in pretty good shape. It's come a long ways from where we bought it.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
Okay, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the tour of our RV. We love this thing, and we're so excited to use it. Subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content about this RV. We are about to go on a huge RV trip. We are so new to the RV world. We have never really done any RVing before. This is all new to us, and we're about to go on a huge trip, and we hope everything goes good. So if you want to see all of that excitement, please subscribe, because we will have video content about that coming up soon. And we're also going to have a video coming up soon about our advice if you are planning on looking into getting a vintage RV for yourself. We're going to go over our whole history with this RV, because there's actually more of a history to this RV than we've ever told you guys. This is actually a very sentimental RV to us. We're going to go over the price of this RV, how much everything costed, at least an estimate of how much we believe everything costed for us. So yeah, look for those videos coming up soon, and please subscribe if you want to see all that. But thank you, Stephen, for helping me out with doing this, and so we could cover everything that's been done to this thing. And but yeah, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a lovely day. Bye bye.